Everybody, you asked me to do a video about my favorite bows. So first of all, I want to lay something right now, and to be honest, many of the bows that I use were for builds that I use with roll cooldown, or we just roll, and basically it was designed to support my melee build, provide good utility that my melee wasn't able to provide, or maybe I just prefer not actually using it on a melee. So I haven't created anything like mainly bow, all right, mainly, not only, some say only or mainly bow build, but it's on my plan to do so. So some of you might even have much more experience than I have with actually creating builds that are surrounding mostly around the bow rather than on the melee weapon, when the melee is probably the secondary and your bow is the primary. All right, so this one thing that I really want you to know. So of course I want to hear your opinion about which one you prefer, because it can help me out with my future build as well. I can focus on different things, maybe some of the things I wasn't aware of. All right, so your opinion matters. And if you haven't subscribed, so by the way, make sure you subscribe to my channel. I'm going to create lots of more Minecraft Dungeons videos. It's definitely one of my favorite games, so there will also be kind of a Minecraft Dungeons content on my channel. Let's begin. So keep in mind, the things that you see here aren't necessarily the build, the one that I use. All right, so the enchantments. All right, because the problem is, for some reason, when I get into another tab and I go back, it's all scrambled out. I don't know why. So I'm just gonna stay here. But keep in mind, not all the ones that I'm showing are the ones with the enchantments that I actually use. I have other ones, duplicates, not duplicates, but other ones, same ones that I use down there. So first of all, short bow, and it's kind of a, the short bow itself, it's not the reason I actually use it. The reason I use it is because of the ammo capacity. It has high ammo capacity, so I use it with a roll build, so I can actually enjoy the utility. In this particular case, you can see cooldown shunt, reduce cooldown, burst bursting when I roll, wild rage. And because there's lots of ammo capacity, this means that I can use it without actually worrying getting without any ammo. And in many situations, you won't have this issue at all. Some do, but again, if you're using less ammo, it can happen. But in many situations when I done ancient hunts and daily trials, I'm just fine. Never happened to me that I really was in a situation where I'm really out of arrows when I get this use a bow with IM capacity. Just make sure to pick up the arrows, yeah? But can be situations, there can be. So I use not just this one, but other that are kind of similar, that has IM capacity. So it didn't matter this one or the damage, I care about the utility. But this short bow and other similar short bow that I have serve me well. So when I see short bow, I usually check the enchantments, especially if it's gilded. Buzzkill bow served me a lot, and I really love it. I use it in my E5 tornado build. I really like when actually pulling in enemies. I like the animation, I like how it sounds, I like how it looks on the screen, I like how it plays. It's just a fun thing where you actually pull in enemies, especially when it uses the fighter's binding with gravity. So I pull enemies from far, and then they get to the gravity, everything like I'm sucking in enemies, and then the swirling happens. So, and of course you see a wind, kind of a wind effect, visual effect. So everything just feels great when I actually use it in my E5 tornado, and you can check my E5 tornado on my channel. I don't know if this one particular one that I use, maybe, I'm not sure, by the way. I have several of them. And on another character I have one. So basically, again, when you roll, you pull in enemies, and it's charged, but because I'm using burst string, it happens when I just roll. So really, really fun, served me very, very well. Imploding Crossbow, Explode on Impact, very powerful, by the way. I tried to create one because of the ammo capacity. I need to either go with duplication, so I can have more, or maybe something on the armor that allows me to produce arrows once getting hit. Because again, this is very, very powerful. Not this particular one, you can get it, of course, at higher power, or upgrade this one to 251, which this one doesn't. But if you do, Explosion on Impact can be very powerful. It can push pull enemies, deal damage to them with the explosion. And of course, if you have Infinity, it's great. Even essential on this bow, but a really fun bow to enjoy playing with. I haven't created a cool build for it, but many other players actually did. They're using this one. They're really loving using it, and it's also one of my favorites as well. Also looks really cool, sounds cool, and plays cool. Winter's Touch. I mean, Wow, Winter Sight, I love it so much. I actually have another one for when I roll. Let me just see if I have it on this character. Don't have lots of bows here. No, I don't have it here on this character. No. Anyway, ability to freeze an enemy on impact, shoots 3 arrows. Of course, if you have ability to roll, and as I told you, I roll a lot with different type of bows. It's a great utility. And again, I told you that mainly I use it for utility. So it's actually served me very well in some of the builds. Not this particular one, but other one where I really wanted to slow down enemies and maybe deal a damage over time and reduce other cooldowns. Use it. It's a very, very good one. Because again, especially when you're shooting manually, you want to keep enemies away. So the ability to slow them down so they don't come fast to you, so you have more time to do things, utility, cooldowns, can be very, very useful. Now, Veiled Crossbow, I do plan to use it a lot. I mean, I love this crossbow. The reason for this is you can get in shadow form on kills, and if you just misclick and do another shot, it won't take you out of shadow form. And the fact that you can use it in synergy with other type of... by the way, the reason I don't get out, for some reason, when I switched up, everything just scrambles. I don't know why. So I'm just staying on this screen. I want to show you something, but I don't know why it happens. So basically, I can use it, for example, when I get into shadow form and I hit enemies, I can get lots of souls. There are really ways to actually benefit from it, although this particular one is not a soul item. But still, you can benefit from him in a soul build as well, so kind of nice versatility. And of course, if you get it with other utilities, it can be very useful. It can even save you at times where you low, when you want to get into shadows, just disengage, or maybe some you want to engage. You want to be in shadow form, get in, and position yourself well for the first attack. Even if you're playing with a group, you want to maybe allies, you know, and just maybe disengage. It can be very useful in terms of utility and synergy with other things when playing co-op or solo. ARP, what can I say? ARP is probably player's favorite. I mean, I have no doubt about it. Many people love this one, and there's a good reason. More projectiles. And of course, this can really melt enemies. You can really multiply the projectiles. You can use, for example, multi-shot and chain reaction. And if you shoot with this, it produces so many arrows. You're going to deal damage. You can also, of course, this amplifies also synergy with other things because you have a chance to hit more enemies. It's just a fantastic one. It sounds great, of course, with this little sound. It's really a fantastic bow. Although I have to admit, I got it lately. I was so unlucky with the ARP crossbow. There was like, I think like several months that I just didn't get it. Yeah, as much as I play, I don't know why. Don't ask me why. I don't know. And when I got it, I didn't get it with good enchantments. And still, I'm searching for a good gilded one that I'll enjoy using in future builds. But definitely, one of the most useful and powerful bows in the game. But again, it depends on the build, right, when I'm saying that. But in general, it's very, very powerful because of the multi projectiles. You know, 5 projectiles, you can amplify this with even more. So just imagine using it with wild rage, so you can wild rage enemies more often. So it's really, really good one. By the way, this is tool 159. Ignore the enchantments, right? I'm not talking about enchantment. You can get it with different enchantment, different synergies, for different builds, right? There's so many ways to use all of these bows that I'm talking about in certain ways, right? And of course, if you do use them in certain ways, let us know in the comments section below how you use them. This would be interesting and also inspire me, because I haven't played a lot with bows as a main thing. So if you do use it as a main thing, I can learn from you. So please let me know in the comment section below so I can learn from you what you use and maybe inspired use it in future builds. If you ask my favorite, my top favorite, my top first favorite, the Bubble Burster, by far my favorite one. So many advantages. I mean, this is crazy. I have 2, by the way. I have another one. For example, the ability to just have this, like having cheap stuns. Ability to cheap stun several enemies because, of course, of the built-in ricochet and chain reaction here. I can change so many bubbles. This enemy just stop in place. Imagine just doing this in co-op and several of you actually shooting bubbles. I mean, nothing will move on the screen, I'm telling you. crazy. But again, when you're playing alone, solo, it's very powerful because of that. Because you have more crowd control, you are able to, you know, it's just like this, the best damage reduction you can ask for. Just enemies not actually being able to hit you, and you can hit them first. Like, this is the best, instead of reducing the damage of other enemies. Of course, you can enjoy both. If you have it, for example, with a Gilded Weakening, right? This is just one particular example, right? Or with the cooldown as well, instead of, for example, Temple Theft. This is just a particular example. The thing is that the synergy here with the Wild Rage is fantastic. Why is great? Now, this is kind of a... the way I'm going to explain to you. So if you're shooting with Wild Rage, what happens is enemies, what they're going to do, they're going to attack each other. And what happens when they attack each other? They move towards each other. They cramp up together. Now, when they cramp up together, once you execute the bubble, when you roll in this case, because I have bursting, the chain reaction, and of course the ricochet, all the arrows will actually eat enemies. Most of them, if not all of them, will eat enemies because they're cramped together. Arrows not just flow into the air. This leads to insane amount of damage where arrows just eating all the enemies each other and just bouncing each other, and you can just wipe enemies by just rolling if they are cramped together. So you can just roll once, enemies attack each other, you do it again, and then even sometimes it's just one roll and everything is gone. It's just so powerful in terms of both damage and crowd control. Super useful, and this is why it's my favorite bow. Really, it's great for if you're doing solo, even if you're doing co-op, of course. Especially if you, both of you, or even more using it. It's just kind of a bow that you take to daily trials when you want to make sure that enemies won't hit you because they're very high attack and you're very low, and you really want that control, and let them just attack each other and kill each other. So you, again, when enemies attack each other, less enemies attack you in general. So it's just like, I couldn't ask for a kind of a better damage reduction utility from a bow. It's just so good, especially if weakening, yeah, even more, right? So again, I wish I would have gotten it with more type of options, but again, it's very hard to come by one. But again, if you get it with 263, you're gonna melt anything. It's just crazy. I wish I got it 263 with this enchantment, or maybe weakening, or maybe cooldown. Well, I can just wish. I know I won't get it, and the chance to get it is very low. So this is my favorite one, by far. Auto Crossbow. Well, I love it because it shoots automatically. It's so much fun and fast. But I didn't get it with something that I really say that, you know, it can be really great for my build. Maybe you were able to put something. Again, I wasn't lucky to get the things that I want. But still, it's still a great bow, and I think with the right enchantment, it can be very useful. Love Spellbow. Again, I use it a lot. It served me well. I love the sound of it, by the way, the look of it, a chance to enrage mobs, as you can see here. Again, not this particular one is my favorite. Again, don't pay, but this is just a new one that I got, 263. It served me really well. I just like that. Love it. Love it. Alright, next. Void Caller. I think this is another place of one of the favorite, and many players really enjoy using it. You know, pulling enemies. The thing is that with the ammo, again, unlike here, for example, the Imploding Crossbow, which is very low ammo, this is kind of a sustainable more. But still, if you want to use it as a utility, it won't be like that of a problem, and you need to make sure that you pick up arrows, of course, as well. If you don't pay attention, well, you're gonna find yourself with not with a lot of arrows. But again, I enjoy it in certain builds that I use, but many of them actually won't actually lead to something that I publish. But I use this one quite a lot. And I really enjoy using it. It's really cool, by the way. It shoots cool. I just love the way it looks. I feel like a hunter with it, and yeah, it's one of my favorites. Not this particular one because 204. Yeah, I'm just saying. I'm just talking about generally about the Void Caller. Of course, it really depends on which enchantment you're going to get. But it's easier when you have something in it because it's built around utility. If it was my main, it probably would very hard to get the one that I want to. Sobos served me very well. This particular one, by the way. Why? Because for soul builds, usually for pet builds, and I created several pet builds, you know. And this one has cooldown, so it was good for my pet build as well. And Anima Convey for healing. So again, plus for, so this one was used a lot And I like this particular one. Of course, they can get it gilded, even better. But the thing is that what I got, again, the thing is I can only show you, for example, this particular one, what I get. I wish I had something gilded Spellbow, but I haven't found anything good. But it served me well for a long time, so definitely I respect this one. Anima Kunwi, especially when getting into daily trials 3, right, captains? Really want to optimize, especially when going solo, you want to optimize for particular daily trials modifiers. So basically, what you do is making sure that, for example, if there are many souls, you can heal constantly, can be very useful. So you're probably going to bring a Sobos, for example, with Anima Convey, Chatman. Alright, so it was always there. I never deleted it. It was always there to serve me certain situations, and some of the builds actually required, so I can actually have cooldown at Anima Convey. It's not the best offer, but again, you can have something better. But overall, it was good and definitely served me well for several of my builds and daily trials. Powerball, not this particular one, again, ignore the power. I have other ones on other characters, they're very good. So Powerball is, again, very powerful attack range, especially when charged. I use it, of course, against bosses, which I really enjoy using it. Sometimes really want a powerful one. We can charge the shot, continue charging the shot and release 5x, damage multiplier, and eliminate bosses like this very, very fast. And sometimes in situations where I want to eliminate annoying big enemies that don't have deflect, if you deflect, can be a problem, and eliminate them fast. And for the rest, I can actually use my melee to just eliminate smaller enemies. Some of the enemies can be have issue with. I use the bow. It served me well for some of the builds, and I use it. So always kind of a good place for my heart for this one. Yeah, so the last one is the trick bow. I know many people enjoy using it, especially with utility, because you can actually chain the not just the attacks, but the utility. Not this particular one, again, C206, but you can use it. It's really fun, by the way. I like the way it sounds, the way it shoots. It's actually really fun. But again, for utility, it can be very good as well. So, but again, not this particular one. So it served me well as well. I'm still waiting for a good drop. But again, these are the ones that are my favorite and I use the most. It doesn't mean that you will find those ones, the ones that be good for you. But keep in mind, it's very important to have the right enchantments, right? Especially for specific builds. And I haven't created like a main kind of a only bow build or mainly bow build where my melee weapon is my secondary. But I do plan to do so. I just need some really nice 263 drops, and I'll do it. But some of you probably already got something. I mean, the chances is very high that some of you got some really, really good 263 bows. They can be amazing for some builds. So let me know in the comment section below, and share your experience with us in the comment section below, so we know what are your favorite bows, how you actually use them. You can just share the synergies that you use, with the bow, and this can be inspired by it, and maybe it will help me create a really cool build with this. I can always learn from other players especially those who actually emphasize on bow gameplay rather than just melee, because I really emphasize on melee most of the times, So this is it. I hope you enjoyed this one. So this is my take. Again, once I get more experience, I know it's funny, but I need more experience with bows, I'm going to share with you on my channel. And again, I love this game, so if you love dungeons and you want to see more content, make sure you subscribe and give this one a little like. I see you very soon in the next video. Thanks for watching, everyone. Cheers. Bye bye.